Hello and welcome to Creator Weekly for November 9th, 2025. I'm Peggy Kay, and this week there are updates for YouTube, Twitch, some other video and live streaming updates and social media, Facebook, Mastodon, LinkedIn, a whole bunch of interesting stuff. Thank you for joining me today. I say here in the Bay Area, we had a little bit of excitement this morning. There was a little earthquake, and if you've been to California, you know that most earthquakes aren't that exciting. And, I felt it, no big deal, but I went on Reddit and there was like, you know, a dozen posts where it's like, did you feel that? Was it shaking? Was it an earthquake? And I think, I don't even need to look at any official information. I just go to Reddit and there's all the latest. Anyway, that was my excitement for the morning. Let's get started with the YouTube updates. First update I wanted to talk about this morning is kind of neat. It is a new feature called Edit with AI. And this is a tool that lets you turn the video clips and images in your camera roll into a short. It's available for the YouTube Create app. That's an Android app available in Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, New Zealand, Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Turkey, and the United States. So if you're in one of those countries, you should definitely check it out. I like using the YouTube Create app for video editing. There's no watermark or anything. It will also soon be available in the regular YouTube Shorts editor in the main YouTube app, and that will be available globally. So the way this new feature works is that you select Edit with AI. That opens your camera roll, and you can select images and video clips. Any video clips that are longer than 40 seconds, you have to trim down shorter. And then you set how long you want it to be. It's a short, so it's going to be short. And you can set whether there's music, whether there's a voiceover in either English or Hindi, and whether there's captions. And then it generates a video from your clips. It's not generating any imagery or anything like that. Instead, it's, picking the best parts of the clips and setting that to music and so forth. And then it opens the editor where you can rearrange things or trim the clips or make any changes you want. So this is brand new. If you want to try it, you should install the YouTube Create app on your Android device. I use it on my Android tablet and it seems to work fine. So that's kind of neat. And I really like that this is not like, oh, we're making a video from your prompt. You don't have to put any creativity into it. This is actually taking all the clips and just assembling them together. I assume it's kind of similar to the same feature in Google Photos. The other thing that YouTube talked about on the Creator Insider news this week is that they are rolling out dual streams. This lets you live stream landscape and vertical simultaneously. Why is this useful? If you live stream vertically, that can go in the shorts feed. So people who are looking at shorts can discover your vertical live stream. It tends to get a bigger audience that way. And so this will have one combined chat for both the vertical and landscape and so forth. Now, right now, this is only available in live control room in YouTube Studios. So you go into the settings there and you enable dual stream, and the vertical stream will be the center crop of your live stream. So that's pretty basic. As far as I can tell, this is still rolling out, but check in the live control room, YouTube Studio desktop. What's exciting is that in the coming months, so I assume maybe early next year, There will be more cropping options, so it's not just necessarily the middle, and there will be compatibility with third-party encoders, and I think that's when it's going to be really useful. Honestly, I never go in live control room because I'm using Restream, and so allowing this to be set up through third-party encoders will make it much more useful. So be on the lookout for that. I'm definitely going to try it when it's available for my account. The other thing that you should be on the lookout for in YouTube is YouTube Help AI Chat. This is launching to more creators. It will provide information that's similar to what you can find in the Help Center, right? So this is not really a breakthrough, but this helps you find help information that you might not otherwise be able to find. Some creators will also be able to contact a human for support by typing in or saying, speak to an agent, or a similar phrase like that. This is available in English and is rolling out globally, except in the EU, UK, and Switzerland. So as long as you're not in Europe, you should check this out. This is separate from the new Ask Studio chatbot in YouTube Studio. That's available in English in the US, and that lets you ask about your channel. So, what are my latest comments, things about analytics, things like that. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, in the chat, thank you for joining me today, guys. Craig says, you are not in the center, so vertical won't work. That is correct. So if I was trying to do dual live streaming, I obviously could not use the layout I'm using now, because that would just show this part here where there's nothing interesting. So I think when this first rolls out, this is mostly going to be for people who are just talking to the camera. So you're in the middle, that's what you see. And eventually they said there'll be more cropping options. So I'm looking forward to that. So a small update, if you have an iOS device, in the YouTube app, you can now create a quiz with images. This has been available on Android devices for a long time now. The idea is you make your quiz more visually interesting. Downside is you have to set it up in the mobile app. It's not available on desktop. I tried it, but I never know good images for the kinds of quizzes that I post. And then there is a nice update for creators who pay to promote their videos. This is something you can do from inside YouTube Studio. It runs Google Ads. It runs your video as a Google ad. You can choose to run a campaign to try and get more subscribers or to promote a product. I'm not sure it's really actually particularly useful unless you're promoting a product or something like that. But anyway, there's new metrics in YouTube Analytics where you can compare organic versus paid traffic, because not surprisingly, you may see different amounts of watch time and views and all those details. So that can help you decide whether it's worth continuing to promote your videos. So for example, if you are paying to promote your video and people click, but then they only watch for like 10 seconds, that maybe isn't worth it. YouTube also answered the question, will paid advertising hurt your channel's organic performance? And the answer is no. The way the algorithms work, they're only paying attention to the organic traffic. So if you run your video as an ad and nobody watches, it's not going to hurt you otherwise for the algorithm. So those were the updates for YouTube this week. There's a nice update on Twitch. There is a new moderation analytics page. So this shows a detailed recap after the stream is over that shows moderator actions like timeouts and bans, and it shows which moderators took the action and if there were any settings changed. You can go in, moderators can go in and review user profiles and report users in bulk who are banned. So if you have a live stream and there were a bunch of people coming in and violating your chat and you banned all those, you can then go after the stream is over, go to this summary and report those accounts in bulk. This is available both on mobile and desktop through the Creator dashboard. The next is kind of a neat update. Blackmagic Camera is an app for both iOS and Android devices, both phones and tablets. And the idea, it has digital film controls for a sort of Hollywood cinematic look. So this is like if you're used to using a real camera, it has all the same settings. You can really control every detail. And so it's supposed to be like a professional tool and totally free. The new update is that you can now live stream directly to YouTube, Vimeo, and Twitch, also through Blackmagic Cloud. And so this is great if you want to do a live stream that has a really more professional look to it. All you need is a stream key. So this is not like other third-party tools where you connect your accounts. Instead, you get the stream key, which you can do in YouTube from Live Control Room. It also supports the most modern SRT streaming protocol. That's what professional broadcasters use. So this is meant to turn your phone or tablet into a professional broadcasting live streaming device, and totally free to use. You can install it, give it a try. It does need, I think, a recent device to run all the features. So I'm moving over to another free tool. This is the Edits video editing app. Again, this is available for iOS and Android. It's from Instagram. It's supposed to be their competitor for CapCut. They've been adding a lot of new features, which is great. The Edits video editing app, they added color correction tools. You can adjust the color look of your video, animations and effects for captions, and there are new video effects. So they seem to be regularly adding new features every couple of weeks. Again, if you're using a mobile device, it's worth to check this out as a video editor option. It doesn't have any watermark. It's free to use. It does have integrations with Instagram, so you can see details about your reels, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then I wanted to mention a nice update on Restream. Restream is the streaming platform that I use. So disclosure there. It now supports local recordings. And this is actually really great. If you've ever done a live interview or webinar with someone who's having internet connectivity problems, it's not great, right? Because that person's video can look kind of terrible sometimes. What this does is record the video of each participant in the live stream on their own device. And then it automatically uploads that to Restream separately. So the idea is that you can get a high quality recording of what the person is saying and doing, even if they don't have a good connection. And then after everything's over, the host of the video has access to these recordings and can assemble them into a new movie, a new video that shows this with high quality. I'm pretty sure this is what the professionals usually do. They record video separately. They don't record the actual web stream. And it also gives you some creative options where, you can focus on certain people and so forth, going back and forth. So this is great. It's podcast, interviews, webinars, that kind of thing. It does require a paid Restream account. I'm going to shift gears a little bit. If you are a publisher, you have your own website or app that you're monetizing using AdSense, AdMob, or Ad Manager, you are getting a new AI-powered help guide in the help centers. This is for troubleshooting and onboarding assistance. It's probably the information that's in the help center, but that can be hard to find. So this is a new tool to be helpful if you use Ad Manager. Google Ad Manager is for more advanced sites. If you're not just using AdSense, if you're selling your own ad spaces, you can fill it with AdSense and so forth, but Ad Manager lets you sell ad slots on your site. There's a bunch of new tools. You're getting a brand safety tool that learns from your decisions in the ad review center. So if there's certain types of ads you don't like on your web pages, it learns that, it understands that. So when it places the AdSense Google Ads on your site, it takes into account what types you don't want. There's a buyer direct option, so you can make brand deals basically inside your account with the control of a traditional direct deal and the efficiency of programmatic technology. So a wedding together, but it basically matches you to advertisers. So that seems really useful. There's also a new option if you are using ads on things shown on televisions for live events to get more relevant ads. So great updates for AdSense and Google Ad Manager. Now I'm going to shift over to social media. There's several interesting updates this week. The first, I think, is actually a pretty significant update from Facebook. It now allows private groups to be converted into public groups. Now, you listen to that and you think, this is a privacy nightmare, right? Because you're in a private group. You may post things, post comments that you would not otherwise post. So to protect group member privacy, what Facebook is doing is all the previous posts before the group gets converted to public, those are only visible to group members who were members while the group was still private. So if you're a member of a private group, you can continue to see those private posts and private comments, private reactions, all those things. But new members of the public group will not see any of that old content. How well that will work, I don't know. Do you trust Facebook? Take that into account. It seems like kind of a weird thing to do, right? So to new members, it looks like you're just starting fresh, but then there's all these people who are already members of the group because they were there when it was private. I don't really know why you would want to do this. I guess it's to get, more activity, more members. Maybe your private group is dying and you don't want to start a new group. You want to start out with those private members. Yeah, I don't know, but it's going to happen. So if you're in Facebook groups, so you own Facebook groups, this is a new feature. Everyone gets notified when it flips from private to public. You can tell I'm a little skeptical that this will work well, but it's going to happen. So, and I'm filing this next one under "You Can't Believe Your Eyes." So X, all of a sudden, looked like it started sending lots of traffic to third-party sites through shared links. Now, this is a big deal because X and the boss of X, Elon Musk, said we're going to downrank posts that have links in them. It's been terrible. And you can see here, this is a screenshot of, it's a screenshot of a Threads post that has a screenshot of an X post from Substack. And if you see that graph there, all of a sudden, way up, visits to the site. Now, when I say you can't believe your eyes, what I meant is this turns out to all be fake traffic because it's being like this because X changed the way it loads web pages. So if someone has a post with a link, what they're doing is loading the linked web page in the background. That looks like an actual load until you delve in deeper. All those numbers going up, it doesn't actually mean anyone actually looked at that web page or visited the page. So be skeptical if you see big changes in numbers, because this is all fake views. Over on Mastodon, I really love at least the idea of federation. They just released a new version that finally has post quoting. This is available on most social networks. It's been very controversial on Mastodon. Sometimes it's used to harass people. So they've added some protections. As a user there, you can go into your account settings and say, don't allow anyone to quote my posts, or you can do that on individual posts. And if someone quotes your post, you can revoke it. So it seems good. The other big Mastodon update is there's a new system for checking for missing replies. So the way Mastodon works is that people are on different servers and they're federated with each other. They talk to each other. But that means that sometimes when you're looking at a post, you don't actually see all the replies to it because sometimes it may not have replies from certain servers. This update actually actively goes and tries to ensure that all the responses are there so you're not missing part of the conversation. It seems like a good update. And while I'm not actively using Mastodon, I have federated my Threads account so people on Mastodon can see that. And then the final social media update I want to talk about is LinkedIn made a big clarification to their professional community policies to clarify when content that would normally violate policy is educational or newsworthy enough to be posted, right? So this is true on most platforms. You have a policy, you can't show certain things unless it's newsworthy enough or educational enough. So the things that they say are allowed are graphic depictions of an occupation, such as a video of a surgeon operating. That would be allowed. Content shared about a newsworthy event, like a war or armed conflict, or inherently newsworthy content, like statements or actions by certain public officials. And they say when determining newsworthiness, they try to balance the potential harm from the content staying on the platform against the value to members. Now, this is important, especially when, for example, there's politicians that make statements that would absolutely violate a platform's policies, but because they're a public official, it's newsworthy. Now this can stay up. It's the times. And then I just want to make a little update. Last week, we talked about Canva announcing that Affinity software had a big redesign and it was going to be free forever, which is cool. But people were understandably skeptical about this. And they made a whole post with an explanation about why they made it free. They said their business model is to make powerful creative tools available for free and charge only for more advanced features like premium content, collaboration, or AI-powered tools if needed. This is the model on Canva itself, right? You can use it for free. You can use most of the features for free. Certain premium features are not free. The difference here is that most of the features, except for the Canva AI features on Affinity, are currently free. So we'll see how that goes. Interestingly, in the first 4 days after they announced it, they got 1 million new users for Affinity, which is kind of incredible. So presumably this business plan is working for them. Some of those people may be converted into Canva Pro subscribers. And they also talk about, oh, we're doing good, removing barriers to creative tools, yada, yada, yada. I take all that with a pinch of salt. So now, just quick, 10 years ago this week, I'm looking back to 2015 because that's when I started Creator Weekly, my newsletter. What happened 10 years ago? 10 years ago this week, Google released TensorFlow, an open source machine learning system. It was faster, smarter, and more flexible than their previous systems, and it could run on a single smartphone or scale up to a whole data center. So this was a huge update. And back in 2015, Google was already using this for things like speech recognition in the Google app, smart search in Google Photos, smart replies in Inbox. Inbox doesn't exist anymore, but it's the same smart replies in Gmail, and things like AI deep brain in Google search. So, rank brain in Google search. So Google was using this, but 10 years ago, they announced this would be free and it would be open source. Open source meant it was available to academics, engineers at other companies, hobbyists, anyone could use this to make machine learning applications. And I will note that the announcements at the time were talking about machine learning, but if you look today, it's all about AI. Potato, potato, right? So you can see there's examples. TensorFlow has had real world usage. There's a whole bunch of case studies. It was used by Twitter when it was actually Twitter to create a ranked feed in the home timeline. So instead of just having in chronological order made a ranked for you feed, it's been used by PayPal for fraud detection. It's been used for creating systems to detect diseases, used a whole bunch of different things. So this is the real deal. And Google also developed something they called a tensor processing unit, or TPU. This is a custom chip for neural network machine learning designed for the TensorFlow framework. And, here we are 10 years later, Google is about to release the 7th generation TPU chip. codenamed Ironwood. It apparently is a big deal. Competing against NVIDIA, this is for machine learning AI on devices. So it's not clear to me how much TensorFlow itself is still used by Google anymore. They have a whole bunch of other options now, but if you want to learn more, you can actually go to the TensorFlow website and you can try it for yourself. There's a bunch of tools, there's the community. Seems like it could be a good way to learn about how machine learning works. So in the chat, Jolyn says, I've had Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo as a local program for a number of years, added the new online version as well. Yeah, so I think this is popular. You don't have to pay for it, and you can still continue to use the older versions, I believe. So seems like a good thing. Thank you all for joining me this week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will see you all next